Guten Tag, meine Freunde. Welcome to the next part of Adventures Learning German with Duolingo. So for this video we are looking at the. So let's take a look at the tips. I'll use a separate lesson for the word the because there's quite a few different ways of saying the. This will probably just introduce you very lightly to it, but let's go into the details. Definite articles. As mentioned in Basics 1, German nouns have one of three genders: feminine, masculine, and neuter. Others sometimes correspond to a natural gender, e.g., der Mann is male. Most often the gender will depend on the word, not the object it describes. For example, the word das Mädchen, the girl, ends in chen, hence it's neuter. This is called grammatical gender. So yeah, grammatical gender doesn't always follow logic of gender of the thing it's describing. So each gender has its own definite article. Der is used for masculine nouns, das for neuter, and die for feminine. Later on this course you will learn that these might be modified according to case. Now this is a forewarning that about something that is quite complicated about German. That articles will change depending on their case, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But in the meantime, all you need to know for definite articles and in the masculine is der Mann, neuter das Mädchen, the girl, and feminine is die Frau. And for indefinite articles, the indefinite for masculine and neuter is the same: ein Mann, ein Mädchen, and for feminine it's eine. So conjugating verbs. So here are the conjugation tables from Basics 1. So this goes into more detail of how to conjugate verbs. So if you remember from the notes from Basics 1, so you can take the verb here, the example here is trinken, drop the en to get the stem of the verb, and then add the endings e for first person, ich, st for the second person, you, now informal you, and then add t to the end for he, she, or it. Example, ich trinke, du trinkst, es trinkt. And here's an sign. To be is a very irregular verb, as it is in pretty much all languages. So I am is ich bin, you, singular and informal, is du bist, and he, she, it is er, sie, es ist. Generic versus specific. German is not Spanish or French. So just like in English, using or dropping the definite article makes the difference between specific and generic. Yes, so you can say I like bread, ich mag Brot, if you just like bread in general, and I like the bread, ich mag das Brot. So I don't know if you've studied Spanish or French, but it doesn't matter whether when it comes to saying you like things, you always have to include an article, where in German you don't. So a good general rule is to use an article when you would use one in English. If there's none in English, don't use one in German. There are some slight differences when using a few abstract nouns, but we'll see about that later. So yeah, in general, the rules of when you use definite and indefinite articles, or when you just don't use them at all, roughly follow the same rules in English. There'll be a few exceptions, as there always are, but that's just a general rule. So let's continue. Practice. So this will just introduce you to definite articles. So we'll go with without timer so that we can go into
Der Junge trinkt.
Right. So think that said der Junge trinkt. I'll just play it slowly just so you can hear it more clearly, and I'll turn the volume up a bit.
Der Junge trinkt. Der Junge.
Boy is drinking.
Das Mädchen und der Junge. Die Frau und der Mann.
Alright, that's looks quite a lot, but that's so that's the girl and the boy, the woman and the man. So seemed like a lot, but it's very simple. Words that you've mostly come across in the first one. Obviously, the use of
Das.
the definite articles.
Die.
Der, die, das. Das Brot. Brot is neuter. That's the bread.
Das Brot. Der Mann.
The bread. The man. So man is masculine, obviously. Der, so der Mann, die Frau.
Das Mädchen, die Frau.
Das Mädchen. Mädchen. Die Frau. And yeah, I think we've covered this in the previous one, but the reason Mädchen is neuter is because all words that end chen are neuter, doesn't matter of their gender. The boy is der Junge. Oh, excuse me. Right, so that was quite short, but gives you a basic introduction into definite articles, and so this is quite a short video. 40 experience away from my daily goal, but that's me 290 days in a row. Yeah. We'll practice stories in another video. I've already rattled through quite a lot of the stories in, particularly in French and German, but I'll go through them again so that you can see them in more detail. But we'll worry about that when we do the French videos, obviously. Yeah. So that's it for this one. Quite a short video. So next video we'll look at basics 2 and some general phrases to get you by in a bit of basic German. But in the meantime, that's all for this one. Danke schön, schönen Tag und tschüss.